You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
And welcome back to Buffering the Vampire Slayer once more with spoilers. Watcher's Diary 2.03 pairing with School Hard.
I already miss Joanna Robinson, don't you?
I never stopped missing Joanna Robinson.
I wish that Joanna Robinson could podcast every podcast with us forever, you know?
She's busy. She's met someone else.
I know. But that's, and what that's how you
beautiful.
Keep them wanting. You keep them chasing after you.
Make it special.
We have some emails. Jenny is so pleased to let you know that there is yet another rotator cuff email for you.
Yay!
Ask and you shall receive. Also, I realize it's not the error of my ways, but like whatever the version of that is where it's celebratory, the joy of my ways, the celebration of my ways, the correctness.
What's the rest of the sentence? And then I feel like we can workshop this.
So two Watcher's Diaries ago, someone wrote in and said, "Oh, I was so excited when Jenny sang the Chibamato chicken song because I use it to sing it to my cat." And we sang it. And then I said, "Oh, wow, this is really fun." And so somebody else sent a pet song in. And I said, "Oh, fun. Wow, this is great. I love all of your pet songs." And now, Jenny, I have no less than 10 of them in the email inbox. And I am delighted by this. And I texted you a couple of days ago and I said, "Jenny, can we have a new segment in the Watcher's Diaries starting at some point soon?" And R.I.P. Brian Wilson, who just passed maybe not even a week ago. We could call it Pet Sounds. And it could be perhaps just Jenny banging around on her guitar, making some of your pet songs. Recorded pet songs, pet sounds.
I'm ready.
Whatever.
Well, I'm not ready right this second, but I'm ready.
Not right this second, but it seems
spiritually.
Yeah. So if I merely poked the bear last Watcher's Diary, I am now really just, punching the bear. And so sorry, no injuries to the bear, but send in your pet songs and maybe Jenny will sing them to you? ?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the song I'm going to highlight this week, which, Jenny, if you feel so inclined to make this the first one that you put guitar to, great, but your choice, dealer's choice. Danny wrote in and said, "My cat is called Toby. He has exceptional toe beans. Love this for Toby. My friend's wife asked one night if I ever called him Toby Toe Beans, and did I ever sing it to him to the tune of Jolene?" So the lyrics to Toe Beans are below. You can imagine it begins, "Toe bean, toe bean, toe bean, toe bean. I'm begging of you, please don't bite my hand."
Oh, yeah.
That continues, but this is my teaser for the upcoming recording of Toe Beans. There is a picture of Toe Beans attached. I'm sorry, Toby, lovingly called Toe Bean, attached. So let's just see where this is going to go, Jenny. Let's see how far we're going to take this.
I want to know. I want to believe.
All right. I like letting you pick. So I'm going to give you 3 subject lines to choose from. One is high school botany class. One is the pump. And one is Rotator Cuff Watch 2025.
Let's save Rotator Cuff Watch for dessert.
Okay. I'm really glad you didn't save the pump for dessert because that makes me feel funny inside.
Yeah, for sure.
So where are we starting? Botany or pump?
Let's start with botany. Let's ease into it. I feel like the pump might be more intense.
Okay. So Demori, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, and I'm sorry. Wrote in and says, long-time listener, first-time emailer, I was listening to your School Hard episode when you brought up Shelley's behavior toward her horticulture teacher. If you don't remember, she stabbed her horticulture teacher with a trowel and wondered if high schools actually have horticulture classes. I thought I finally have a reason to write in. My high school, public, suburban Kansas, early 2000s, actually had a greenhouse and a wonderful botany class. We learned a lot of really practical information about grass species, soil content, and how to plan landscaping. We grew and propagated our own plants in the greenhouse and released ladybugs as a natural pesticide. What the hell? I want to go to your high school.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a really great educational experience, and I'm finally going to put some of it to use now that I own my own home. And we literally had all our old overgrown landscaping torn down this week. Might not be common, but high school plant science does exist. I got to tell you, as someone who just got off the phone with Poison Ivy Patrol, that's the name of the company, and who is dealing with the effects of maybe one of the biggest rainfalls we've ever had in the Northeast over the last 2 months. My yard is overgrown, and I wish that I had taken botany class.
I also wish that I had taken botany class. There's a bunch of plant chaos going on in my yard. There are... Is this what people tune in for? There's an invasive... There's an invasive insect called the emerald ash borer. Perhaps some of you in the Northeast have been impacted by this little fucker. But they bore into, for some reason, only ash trees. They have a very discerning palate. They bore right in there. They turn the tree into Swiss cheese. The way you know that it's happening is woodpeckers come along and because they... Okay.
Best friends. Are they best friends?
No, they're not best friends because the woodpeckers also have a very discerning palate. And the only thing they want to eat is emerald ash borers. So they drill a bunch of little holes. So you've got two kinds of holes like going into, there's one round type of hole and one D-shaped type of hole.
Two kinds of holes. This isn't even the email about the pump.
No. Well, this is a nice on-ramp. So unfortunately, there were 4 or 5 ash trees total. We just had to have the biggest one taken out because it was positively cooked, just riddled with emerald ash borers. RIP that ash tree. I'm sure the other ash trees are soon to follow. What's cool about having a tree removed is that it's really affordable.
Yeah. I've had a
just
tree
like
removed.
everything else that goes along with home ownership, just incredibly financially accessible. Now that that's down, I'm thinking, oh, sorry.
No, now that that's down, please continue.
Now that that's down, I guess the other ones are the other ones are cooked too. None of them are leafing out. If you're an arborist and you have no, I've already talked to like 5 different tree people, and they all basically said the same thing.
Maybe
we don't feel like you have to email, but
maybe we have some tree remover pals in the main area that want to help you out.
Yeah, if you're a tree removalist in the Seacoast area and you want to hook a podcaster up, gosh, I'd appreciate it.
I mean, it sounds like it comes with some ash wood, which like is nice wood as long as
it's yours for the whatevering.
Yeah. So, let's be queer about it. Let's be queer DIY about it. With the shout out. Jenny, I also, while we're on the subject of plants and things, last night we were putting some sesame seeds on our dinner, and Avanti turned to me and she said, wait, what does a sesame seed grow? What grow when you plant a sesame seed, what grows? And so I looked it up, and I mean,
Can I guess?
Well, yes, you please guess.
Okay. Is it a leafy lettuce?
Well, it is a leafy plant called the sesame plant, and you can eat the leaves. So I read, please don't go fucking chomping on sesame leaves by my advice, but it seems like a major staple in Korean dishes. But the real thing that got me was basically sesame seeds just grow more sesame seeds. Like the plant grows and the pods have more sesame seeds in them. So they're just
That's how you do it.
Sesame seeds all the way down.
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome to Botany Corner here at Buffering the Vampire Slayer.
Can I tell you about the rest of my yard?
Yeah.
Sorry. This has been a central preoccupation, except that I don't. My child is my central preoccupation, so I have very limited bandwidth on the fringes of that. But what little bandwidth I do have that isn't for making this podcast or writing songs is going directly to the plant life I'm immediately surrounded by. And here's what else is going on. Friends, beautiful friends. Oh my God. 3 years ago, we planted boxwoods. They're so okay. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a little hedge around like the street sides of the house? That'd be so cute.
Yeah.
And then we went and looked at all these different kinds of like shrubs, and I was like, I want something that will be green all year, including the winter. I guess technically there's a winter bronzing that happens to the leaves, but leaved. That'll be leaved all year. And we picked boxwoods, but unfortunately, to buy a boxwood that is even of a marginally reasonable starting size, they're like $100 a plant. Based on the amount of space we wanted to cover, we needed like 22 plants. So I was like, well, we're certainly not spending $2,200 on plants. So we found much, much, much smaller ones that were like $10. We're like, we'll just be patient. We'll just enjoy watching them grow over time.
Yes. You grow, your family grows, your boxwoods grow.
Grow when your baby and your boxwoods grow.
Yeah.
Podcast when your baby and your boxwoods podcast, famously. So I've been watching these. I've been coaxing and encouraging and praying and watering and believing in these plants for 3 years. And this year, I'm so sorry to tell you. No, everything. Look, it's okay. It's okay.
I thought we were heading to happiness.
Again, is this why people tune into the podcast?
Well, we'll find out.
Unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah, subscribership goes plummets after this episode. I noticed like something weird, like a weird coloration thing going on with the leaves. And of course, once just like with WebMD, when you're like, why does my elbow hurt? Yep. And it's like, you have cancer, probably. There are like 100,000 reasons your boxwood leaves could look like this, but I narrowed it down and discovered that they had been, the majority of them, 2/3 of them had been hit pretty hard with leaf miners.
Are these other insects?
These are other insects.
It's like you have Fraggle Rock in your backyard.
Yeah. So what's really sick and twisted about leaf miners is I guess they're like little fly type guys. And then they come and inject their eggs inside the leaves. And then when the larvae hatch, they eat the inside of the leaf, rendering the leaf a shallow or a hollow husk.
Wow.
This is cool, right?
You're feeding babies. You're feeding the babies. It's so nice of you.
And I want to foster the youth. However, I also don't want my plants to die that I'm like, they're barely just starting to look like they might one day become a hedge way down the line. Until now, it's been
Jenny.
very uncertain. But now they're just starting to look like they might like have a legit thing. And then they get hit with these bugs. I've been at war with the leaf miners trying to figure out what's what. And I finally administered a treatment and said a prayer. And that was, I guess, like a couple of weeks ago that I did the treatment, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then, Kristin, guess what?
What?
The afflicted plants, as of yesterday, I can confirm that they have beautiful new growth beyond the afflicted area.
Oh my God, thank God.
So they're coming along. What's really cool is like the 7 that were not impacted. Look, mate, they're really
thriving.
floofing out.
They're proud of themselves for resisting the leaf miners, you know?
Yeah. And I'm like, why why 2/3 leaf miners and 1/3 no leaf miners?
Evolutionarily stronger, those 7. I'm going to call this segment, I've changed my mind. It's not called Botany Corner. It's Can of Earthworms. Like we've opened a can of earthworms, you know?
Dude, speaking of earthworms.
Okay, Jennifer. I'm getting my crook out.
Okay, there's one more thing that I want to talk about like plant life in my yard, but I will save that for the next installment of this very special segment. But I will tell you, if I haven't already said it, that Aldrich is currently in his flipping over rocks and looking for bugs era.
Fun.
It's the only thing he wants to do.
Fun.
He wants to flip over every rock, no matter its size, no matter if it's part of a retaining wall. He wants to flip those rocks.
Hey.
Guard your rocks closely.
Keep on flipping, buddy. Keep on flipping. I'm really glad that your story about the miners had a happy ending, Jenny. We need positive stories in this day and age.
Well, keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because apparently with plants, I thought maybe because I come from a long line of farmers, and my mom was always, and to this day is like a really talented gardener, is amazing at growing stuff. And I thought, she made it look so easy. I thought you just plant stuff that it is fine. But actually, it's just constant. It's honestly like having a dog or a child. You have to be on watch at all times, which is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Jenny, your mom's garden has come up both in my mind and in conversation many times since I've become a homeowner and attempted to do anything in my yard. I've reflected back on being like, oh, what pretty plants. And now I'm like, oh my God, Roxy, the talent. It's astounding.
It's outrageous. The photos that she sends me and the updates that she gives me about the plant life in her yard is just, it will rock you.
Yeah. Avanti's mom is also just an absolutely epic plant taker carer of gardener.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just reminded me. Okay, sorry.
Wow.
Just one quick
you get
diversion.
To say one more thing, and then I'm reading another email.
Well, okay, so you just so you brought up Avanti's mom, who, as we know, you and I know, is a huge Outlander fan. Such a huge fan that she got you guys the Outlander branded scotch or tequila or whatever. Gin.
And also, to be fair, she got herself a case of it, but it had to ship to us because we live in New York, and
so that was tax.
We got a tax of one bottle. Yeah.
I feel like they don't even drink gin on Outlander. I'm confused. I feel like they only drink scotch and wine.
Listen, I think it's just the guy who's in Outlander makes the gin.
Right. Yeah, he's got, I think his distillery makes both scotch and gin. Anyway, so being reminded that Mrs. Govender loves Outlander reminded me, I was just listening to friend of the pod, Joanna Robinson, and the other woman in her life, Mallory Rubin's summer hype draft. And they were talking about how they were talking about stuff that's coming up, and there's an Outlander spinoff coming up, and Mallory was talking about how she had watched the first couple of seasons of Outlander and then fell off, but then came to regret falling off when one of her colleagues at The Ringer, who was keeping up with Outlander, published an article while a season was happening titled, I'm paraphrasing, "Can a hand job bring you back to life?" Which is something that happens. Spoilers for Outlander.
Stop.
I wish, Kristen, I wish that I could, but he's very ill. He's on death's door, but but what can bring him back?
Oh my God.
Only one thing.
Oh my God. Wow. I mean, you know what's remarkable, and this is how I know that we still have magic on our side, Jenny, is that we went from botany to tree borers and leaf miners to your mom to gardening to Avanti's mom to Outlander to hand jobs, and have landed right at the email for the pump. It's just it's just magic.
What is the leaf miner to reanimation by hand job pipeline? We've just outlined it for you.
The pump email, by the way, is simply about, okay, so Hillary wrote in and said, "Hey babes." Also, I like that you called me babe. So just putting that out there. "I thought you might like to know that in my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, we have a gay bar called the Pumping Station that is colloquially referred to as the Pump. Here is
oh my God.
some proof. And Hillary sent us the Instagram Pump Memphis. And this place, Jenny, you were perusing it and having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
They have, do you want to talk about some of the delights that they have here?
I do. Yeah. They've got some excitement. It's a very robust slate of activities and events going on at the Pump. First of all, let me tell you that every fourth Saturday is underwear night.
That's funny because here in my house, it's also the same.
Wow. In my house, actually, every night is underwear night. They have an HIV and STI test vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite thing is that they have Taco Tuesdays with the 4 T's. Tacos, tecates, tequilas, and nachos with a T at the beginning.
Nachos. Nachos.
What are you doing tonight? Nachos.
Nachos. Nachos Tuesdays, you know?
Yeah.
Summer is upon us. That means more sun. It means more light. Great for everyone, except, of course, for vampires. So long as you're not a vampire, I'm assuming that you're going to want to be outside this summer and maybe not spending as much time inside cooking. This is where Factor comes in. Factor has chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals, and they're ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. My wife and I love having Factor in the fridge. Not only do we like to spend time outside in the summer, but we have a new baby, less time to cook, and a deep desire for delicious meals to still be available. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, and they have 45 weekly menu options, so you get to pick gourmet meals that fit your summer goals. Enjoy more of your summer. Get some Factor meals in your fridge, or get a vampire to come and cook for you, one or the other. Get started at factormeals.com/buffering50off. Use code buffering50off to get 50% off, plus you get free shipping on your first box. That's code buffering50off at factormeals.com/buffering50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Yeah, incredible. Thank you for letting us know about the pumping station, aka the Pump, Hillary. Also, just a little like corner here. The world is hard. It's been hard for a long time, but it's getting increasingly hard. And I just want to like acknowledge that in this space because, you know, when you say something like, and they have a vending machine for STI testing, I'm like, you know what? We're still doing it, kids. We're still doing it. We're out there and we're fucking doing it, okay? So even though everything is just simply aflame around us, there are still bars in Memphis, Tennessee called the Pumping Station where you can get your STI tests out of a vending machine. There's a lot of good happening in little corners of the world. And I don't know. I just wanted to like say I love you. And yeah, Jenny's shaking her head up there.
All is not lost.
All is not lost. And actually, that's the weapon, isn't it? The weapon is feeling like all is lost. And so we must remember that all is not lost. And this past weekend, I think, was a pretty unbelievable representation of the fact that all is not lost. And there's a lot of fucking people out here who are saying, fuck you, fuck this. And we're here. So just a tiny aside here, because I know that many of you come here for joy and you want to hear about rotator cuffs and what Dawn was doing and every single corner of Jennifer Owen Young's yard in Maine.
What I bring to the podcast is unbridled enthusiasm and revivification by hand job. And what Kristin brings to the podcast is like whatever she's on about right now.
Yeah, we both have our strengths.
Oh, Kristin!
What?
I already told you this, but I'm going to tell everybody else. Since I've taken to updating our listenership about what's in stock at my local comic book shop, Stairway to Heaven, in beautiful Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I want to let you know that I was there. Aldrich and I go there like once a month to check my pull folder and usually get a golden book that is about whatever he's into right now, be it Nightmare Before Christmas or Zootopia, etc. The other day we were walking around in the comic book shop and I spied with my little eye not one but 2 books by people I know beside one another. There was Isabella Rotman's A Quick and Easy Guide to Consent and a little book called A Quick and Easy Guide to Coming Out by none other than Kristin Russo.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Pretty fucking cool. Pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. As someone who just updated their social media bios to include author, I really felt a kinship when I looked across and saw my good friend.
Yeah, your
my good
friend.
friend's book.
Wow.
I was like, we're two authors.
Quick and Easy Guide to Coming Out. I'm so proud of that little book, and you know, I don't speak about it enough, but it's a wonderful little book. It's part of an incredible series, that Quick and Easy Guide. It is Pride Month, so if you're looking to purchase queer things, I recommend every book in the series. There's a Quick and Easy Guide to They, Them Pronouns, a Quick and Easy Guide to Sex and Disability. It's really a beautiful, beautiful series, and it's in the comic shop because it's written in comic form. So they're sort of like bound, like more like a volume than an issue, you know, but it's paneled, and they're great for all ages, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm happy to be hanging out in your comic shop in Maine.
It's actually in New Hampshire.
Oh, right. Your comic shop in New Hampshire. I know rotator cuffs are on the mind, but I also just remembered there's no way. We spent so much time in a can of earthworms that I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of emails left for Inca Mummy Girls Watcher's Diary.
Are you mad at me?
No.
Are you mad at me for talking about the yard?
I am not. I think that we are going to get more emails about landscaping. If
anybody has any suggestions for anything, please email us. For anything.
Buffering Cast.
I want to plant some trees. I have a bunch of thorny bushes that do not blossom lining one side of my yard.
You're tricking me into getting back into the can of earthworms, and I'm just
I need help.
Oh, okay. Can I read you?
I'm a woman in desperate need of a landscape advice.
Can I read you a little note about Ray Bradbury?
I wish you would. That is my favorite kind of note to read or be read.
Yeah. So Susanna writes in and she says, on your latest coverage of School Hard, Joanna brought up a sad Ray Bradbury short story, which prompted a fuck you, Ray Bradbury, which made me immediately think of the Rachel Bloom classic, Fuck Me, Ray Bradbury. And so I'm sending along on the off chance you've never seen it, although Jenny will surely say it's none of her business. Also,
I'm sorry.
There's a cat song in here too. I'll keep it flagged for you, Susanna, for your cat Nina. But yeah, I'll link it in the show notes. But Fuck Me, Ray Bradbury by Rachel Bloom.
In a sexy way?
I'm gonna guess yes, because when I clicked on the YouTube link, it says this video is age restricted and only available on YouTube. It won't like pop it up and play it. So we'll all watch it together. But it sounds like a David Duchovny, Why Don't You Love Me, but for Ray Bradbury and perhaps more graphic. We'll find out. Susanna, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Okay. Shall I tell you what Dawn is doing and then do one or two more here? Because there's rotator cuff watch. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. And then, God, I don't even know. There's just good shit here. Waiting at Gravestones for Vampires, Venn diagram of death for Buffy and Daryl. There's some good ones. But
yeah.
We'll start with what was Dawn doing.
Was she at the mall? Was she at ballet? Was she drawn on a trapper keeper all day? Was she nursing a crush on a boy from PE? Was she writing it all down in her diary? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing?
All right, Jenny, are you ready for what Dawn was doing during
I've never been more ready.
School Hard? It's funny because she actually, it's like weird actually, because she has these trees and they have leaf miners on them, and she's trying so hard to figure out what to do with the leaf miners on her trees in this episode. Just kidding.
Leaf miners, no, they're not on trees. They're on...
Okay. Fuck me, Ray Bradbury, and fuck you, Jenny Onyang. Okay, Kristin with an I, not me, writes in, what was Dawn doing during School Hard? At the beginning of the episode, we see Dawn's class at the unveiling of the new, hand-painted by the Sunnydale Elementary 5th grade class, Welcome to Sunnydale sign at the edge of town. When Dawn gets home from school, she checks the mail, tossing a letter from Buffy's school on the kitchen counter while she tears into Buffy's new cream rinse she ordered from a catalog 6 to 8 weeks ago, of course. Only planning to use a little, Dawn accidentally leaves the cap off and spills half of it, forcing her to cover her tracks by filling it up with water. Smart move, Dawn. Buffy comes home and Dawn hears the shower running, so she conspicuously shuts her door. She overhears her mom scolding Buffy for getting kicked out of school in LA, which makes Dawn wonder if it was because of Buffy's vampire fighting superpowers. She wonders for the first time if being a superhero might be lonely. Attempting to make her sister feel better, Dawn gives Buffy a lemonade recipe before they part for bed. Dawn has a weird nightmare where she can hear an English lady talking about cakes, but she can't see anything. The next day, Buffy and her mom pick up Dawn from Janice's house after the parent-teacher conference, and Joyce is practically gushing over Buffy and some gang at school on PCP. What's PCP? When Joyce asks Buffy how she knew exactly what to do, Dawn quickly jumps in to say how she must have learned it from a movie she and Buffy recently watched together. Joyce seems blissfully content with the explanation, while Buffy shares a grateful smile. The episode ends with Buffy telling Dawn about the number one rule of vampire slaying: don't invite blood-sucking dead people inside. Dun, dun, dun. Stay tuned next time.
Wow.
Oh, God. Well, thank you, Kristin, with an I, for your input here, as always.
It's so great to have a reporter on the ground with their finger on the pulse, keeping us updated.
Okay, Jenny, are you ready for Rotator Cuff Watch 2025 from Suzanne?
I was born ready.
Okay, Suzanne, doctor of physical therapy, writes in. As a physical therapist and a huge Buffy fan, the episode where Jenny talked about Buffy's rotator cuff felt like it was created for me personally. Your listener Jamal is correct. When it comes to shoulder injuries, teens are not very likely to injure their rotator cuffs. Instead, they are much more likely to injure a structure called their labrum, which is a piece of, it sounds like something you'd pierce. It sounds like maybe where Jenny Calendar dangles it. But it is a piece of cartilage that goes around the rim of one of the bones in the joint. With the unpredictable and highly gymnastic nature of Buffy's occupation, I believe it's reasonable to be concerned about labral injury as a possible job hazard. Hopefully, along with all the weapons training and cardio, Giles is instructing Buffy in a strengthening program for her shoulder stabilizer muscles to prevent this injury. It really only makes orthopedic sense. Also, Suzanne ends the email. P.S. Kristin, stop making fun of yourself for your age. I see people from their teens to their 90s. In my line of work, you're still a spring chicken. Suzanne, spoken from inside of the aching body that I now occupy, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Wow, if you're a spring chicken, what does that make me? Just in the absolute bloom of youth.
You're an egg, actually. Smooth as an egg. Jenny Onyang. So, what this made me think of, Suzanne, is like, you know, we talk a lot about the Watchers Council and how they do jack shit, right? They don't pay Buffy. They don't fucking whatever. I think there's a whole email about this somewhere, and maybe I'll try to dig it out and read it next Watcher's Diary. But I thought, you know how when you're like a football player, you're like playing for the NFL, right? You don't just go to the fucking
Yes, I know how I am doing that. Go on.
You know how you are, yeah. So you don't just go to the regular doctor when you are like a professional athlete. You go to like their doctors. Like they don't let just any fucking doctor touch your body. And so I was like, the Watcher's Diary doesn't give a fuck about like Buffy in terms of paying her or
the
whatever.
Watcher's Diary?
The Watcher's Council? Sorry, listen.
We give a fuck.
Yeah, we do give a fuck. They don't give a fuck necessarily about, her being taken care of in a financial way. And maybe they're just of a mind of like, whatever, when she kicks the can, there's another one that'll fucking sprout up. But it did make me wonder if there are doctors that specifically see slayers, because maybe their injuries are a bit different. They probably need different kinds of treatments. I mean, they are rapid healers. And Jenny, if you think about it, rapid healing is good, except in some cases it probably isn't. This is a call out to our doctor listenership, because I would imagine that some things need to heal at a certain pace for particular reasons, right? So if you like heal something too fast, maybe that's not good.
Well, probably if a slayer has speedy healing abilities, their bodies also are just sort of like programmed to do it right.
To do that, yeah.
That would be my guess. You know, the physical therapist that I was seeing...
Jennifer, good
the
God.
physical therapist that I was seeing a couple of years ago here in my area trained under the guy who is like the MLB pitcher.
Oh,
shoulder guy.
Cool.
What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty cool.
So nothing but the best for Jenny Owen Youngs.
Well, I think on that note, Jenny, we should probably wrap up this beautiful edition of Watcher's Diary.
Are you sure you don't want to hear a little bit more about my yard?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've actually been tinkering with the idea. We're on summer slowdown. I should say that actually before we wrap up today.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've put it, in socials and we've sent out a note on Patreon and what have you. But here in the pod, just in case you don't know, we are on summer slowdown right now. And that was a decision made when my body said, fuck you, fuck me, Ray Bradbury. My body said, fuck you, Kristin Russo, because when I had my daughter in February, I had a C-section and I didn't recover properly because, I worked too hard and blah, 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 whatever. But also we released a book. So it was a difficult time for me to take the space and break that I needed and that my body needed. And I think I write in the book, in our book, Slayers Every One of Us. You should purchase it if you haven't already. I write that divorce was the thing that like finally bested me when it came to like anxiety medication. I had sort of resisted it my whole life, and then divorce was like, you know what? Actually, you can't fucking fight us anymore. Help yourself.
So I did you actually a favor.
You did. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, having a child has definitely also bested me for Kristin. You actually literally do need to slow down. And so for the betterment of my mental health and my physical health, we are just doing 2 episodes a month for June, July, and August, one of them being this Watcher's Diary. So we come back in July with Inca Mummy Girl. All of that is updated on the calendar. And there was a reason why I began this loop of summer slowdown that I can't tell you what it was anymore. But at least now you know that we are slowing down for the summer. So many of you sent the most beautiful fucking messages when we posted about it on social media and on Patreon. Just, in solidarity, those of you who are have recently given birth to a child or, anywhere in the recent past have had a child, and just encouraging me and encouraging both of us to take care of ourselves. And you're always very good at that. So let me put that reminder back to you. If you're sitting there wondering if you should get up and do that thing, or maybe just take a minute on the couch and take a deep breath, take a deep breath. And thank you for letting us take a deep breath this summer.
Yeah, lots of messages pouring in. Kristin, you're the best. Kristin, you're so wonderful. Kristin this, Kristin that, Kristin whatever. While you're resting on the couch, per Kristin's advice, why not drop a message on our socials? Jenny, you're so handsome and strong. Jenny, you're so cool. What an awesome guy.
Jenny, thank you so much for divorcing Kristin so she could take care of her mental health. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Always in the service of others,
1 out of 1 ex-wives of mine agree the best thing that ever happened to their mental health was actually getting divorced from me.
So we will see you with Inca Mummy Girl in July. Please keep your emails coming in. Jenny, you're going to pick up a guitar and start working on your toe bean rendition of Jolene. And I
better.
Probably going to have to create a whole new label in the inbox for pet sounds, because I think that there are a lot of them. And what if this is just our next calling? What if we released 8 albums during our first run of buffering, and at the end of this 7-season arc, we just release an album that is pet songs recorded by Jenny Owen Youngs?
That does sound like the most reasonable course of action.
Yeah, it sounds right to me. So on that note, Please stay safe out there. Please keep each other wrapped in love very, 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 very tightly. We all need it right now.
Beware the leaf miners.
Beware the
and
leaf
beware
miners.
the emerald ash borers.
Yes. And fuck ice.
American history is full of infamous tales that continue to captivate audiences decades or even hundreds of years after they happened. On the Infamous America podcast, you'll hear the true stories of the Salem witch trials and the escape attempts from Alcatraz, of bank robbers like John Dillinger and Pretty Boy Floyd, of killers like Lizzie Borden and Charles Starkweather, of mysteries like the Black Dahlia and D.B. Cooper, and of events that inspired movies like Goodfellas, Killers of the Flower Moon, Zodiac, 8 Men Out, and many more. I'm Chris Wimmer. Join me as we crisscross the country from the Miami drug wars and Dixie Mafia in the South, to mobsters in Chicago and New York, to arsonists, kidnappers, and killers in California, to unsolved mysteries in the heartland and in remote corners of Alaska. Every episode features narrative writing and cinematic music, and there are hundreds of episodes available to binge. Find Infamous America wherever you get your podcasts.